I'm Sarah Echohawk. I'm the Chief Executive Officer for the American Indian Science and Engineering Society, otherwise known as AISES. Our mission is to increase the number of American Indians in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. My interest in this work started with my father, John Echohawk, who founded the Native American Rights Fund, which is a legal defense fund for Native Americans. And that was in 1970, during the political resurgence of Native Americans in the exercise of tribal sovereignty, meaning tribes exercising their right to self-determination as governments. So the relationship between tribal governments and the federal government is a nation-to-nation relationship. For so long, the federal government made those decisions for Native people. So I see the work that AISES does in increasing the number of American Indians in STEM in line with those principles. The idea that we can choose for ourselves what we want to do. And I really see the work that we do in terms of STEM careers as tied directly to economic development for tribal people. There's two ways that we view computer science in terms of the work that we do. One is from the tribal perspective. So for tribes, we see it as a means, again, of that exercise of self-determination, economic development, IT infrastructure, educating our own people to do that work within our communities, rather than relying on people from the outside. The other part of that then is for urban Native Americans, those that live off of the reservations, to have the same opportunities that everybody else has in terms of workforce development and opportunity. And so we see CS as one of the fastest growing fields in workforce, as an area that we want our people to be able to access those same opportunities that everybody else does. So when we work with kids on the reservations, okay, these are often rural and somewhat isolated, depends on which reservation you're talking about. But often, as Native people, we don't make the connection, science, technology, engineering, math, computer science, like what does that have to do with, we're Native Americans, we're very traditional, we're cultural, and in fact, we were the first scientists, right? We're the original peoples of this land. We have examples like the Hopi tribe. They farmed corn in the desert for hundreds of years, thousands of years, right? They were able to do that through great feats of engineering and figure that out. It is part of who we are. We're star people. We study the stars. So there is that connection to us, and I think when we think about that and when kids realize that, in fact, science is part of who we are as a people, then they're more open to that. So the challenges that we face today, and we get this across the board, is that our population is about 2% of the total US population, depending on what numbers you look at. Because we're a smaller group, we're often left out. So when there is work done to try to increase diversity or to think about how to grow the talent pool, often Native Americans aren't even part of that picture. And in any of the statistics that you see, often we're just left out completely or in the other category. And so if we're 2% of the population, I want to see 2% of the workforce be Native American at a minimum. And right now we're falling way short. Large companies, government agencies, all of those employers, they say your numbers are too small. And yet the other side of that is they say we embrace diversity and we support diversity, and yet they leave out the first Americans. And often I think it would be easier to give up and to say, we've been put down so long and we're facing tremendous obstacles. We're still the poorest of the poor. We're the bottom of any metric. We're at the very bottom. But what I get up every day and think of is that there is great hope for what we're doing, and I have faith in the resiliency of our people. Over 500 years of colonization, we're still here. And not only that, we're growing. What gives me hope are the investments that are being made by companies who recognize the importance of diversity and who recognize that Native Americans bring a lot to the table in terms of their cognitive abilities and the perspective that they bring that is unique that nobody else does. They understand there's value in that. And so there are a handful of companies, including Infosys and others, who realize that, recognize that, and are willing to support it. And I think if we can get the intention of more companies to see that, then we're making progress. And that's what gives me hope.